Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. My name is Paul Hoffman, and I'm the Vice President of the club. I'm here filling in for Tressa Holmes. I'll do my best to be as joyful and excited as she is, and so we'll give that a shot. I want to say thanks for everybody for joining us in person today. It's really great to see everybody here, and nice to be able to make some connections again with people we haven't seen for a while. So thanks for that. And I want to say that the meeting is sponsored by Greg Frank of Food Fight Restaurants. You guys can sit down if you'd like. Oh, we're singing, right? I'm sorry, everyone. We'll go. I'm going off script, and Pat gets really nervous if you go off script. So Greg Frank from Food Fight. And if you watched a video a little while ago of those guys, there you go. Greg was asked by George, our president at the time, to name all 19 of the Food Fight restaurants. And he really stumbled at that, you know, and I was surprised because I love the Food Fight restaurants. And so I thought, well, could I name them all? And so let me see once. I went to Cento a lot during the lockdown. That was fantastic. Cento, Fresco, Bassett Street Brunch Club. My daughter worked there for a little while as hostess. Cooper's Tavern, fantastic. Canteen, Deluxe, can't go wrong with any burger there. Johnny Delmonico celebrated our 20th anniversary at Johnny's Delmonico. Then we've got El Dorado Grill, love their margaritas. Tex Tubbs, Fritos, burritos. Bar Coralini, any pastas. Monte's Blue Plate, pie, come on. And then you go Steambox, Eldo's Cafe. Everly's, Miko Poke, which is my daughter's favorite places to go. Luigi's, forget about it, the pizza. Everybody forget about it, pizza? Nobody? It's a fantastic recommendation. Craftsman's, of course, their cheese curds, best in town, better than I think maybe anywhere else, but they're fantastic. Hubbard Street Diner, of course, pie again. And then Marcus Street Diner, pie. So I think I got 19 of them there, Greg, so there we go. Can anybody tell me who was the first restaurant in the Food Fight group? Does anybody know? Monte's? I heard Tom down here front, so I'm giving him a $25 gift card to Food Fight. There. So you get a benefit for showing up, right? You know, we don't have to just watch online, but being here. So with that, we also get a benefit of hearing Ellis Waller. He's going to do America the Beautiful on his bagpipes.
God bless America.
God bless America is what he's going to do.
Do not sing along.
Okay.
Just don't.
Again,
Say again? No.
Thank you, Ellis. That was fantastic. So with that, next we have got Carol Colby. She's going to have a senior service guest introduction today. So Carol, if you can come forward.
Thank you so much, Vice President Paul. Nice to have you here, and nice to see everybody in person. Let me begin by saying that Joan Collins joins me in making this presentation today, but only one of us is allowed at the microphone, and I drew the short straw. So anyway, but I am absolutely delighted and honored to introduce to you our Senior Service Award recipient. Volunteering behind the scenes and spotlight. That's Peggy Algren. Humble, quiet, meticulous, organized. Peggy has always volunteered, but she took it to a whole new level when she retired 10 years ago. She owned Wilson Street Pottery in Spring Green for 35 years, and I suspect that some of you in this audience might have some of her pottery. For the past 10 years, though, she has volunteered at least 2 days a week at the Alzheimer's and Dementia Alliance of Wisconsin, where she helps with office work, writes thank you notes to donors, assists in organizing special events and conferences, and even packs and moves a few boxes or two. Jeff Hams, executive director at the Alliance, said they are so lucky to have Peggy, her willing hands, sharp mind, and deep wisdom. What wonderful qualities. Peggy pays attention to the details in all of her volunteer efforts, which also include the Madison Public School Foundation, with emphasis on West High School, her alma mater. According to Rotary member Melinda Heinrichs, who is the director of the Madison Public Schools Foundation, Peggy plays a major role in bringing cohesion to Madison West High School alumni efforts, including the creation of a board of visitors to provide ongoing financial and volunteer resources to staff and students. Peggy's volunteerism started when she was 7 years old, when she stuffed for an Easter seal drive. And we should be able to see her, the State Journal photo of her on the screen when she was 7. She's on the far left. That's one. Well, stand up, Peggy. People can see you now in all of her sparkles. Stay standing because there's more. For the past 8 years, to honor the memory of a knitting friend, Peggy has been knitting mittens for children through RSVP, Retired and Senior Volunteer Partnership, where she also helps with office work. Last year, Peggy donated more than 100 pairs of mittens and 36 scarves. Amazing. Her volunteerism also includes Pope Farm Conservancy and Pheasant Branch Nature Conservancy, and Wisconsin State Historical Society. Ask Peggy a question about Wisconsin history, and she can probably give you the answer. So Peggy, it's time now to come out from behind the scenes and get in the spotlight and come up to the podium, or if you prefer, Peggy just had a knee replacement 3 weeks ago, and look, no cane, no walker. Almost 4 weeks. So we have the opportunity to give you the honor you so deserve, the Rotary Club Senior Service Award. Ladies and gentlemen, Peggy Algren.
Congratulations, Peggy, and thank you, Carol. And now, if we could, invite Jeff Tews up, and we're going to do some introductions of our guests today. Jeff?
Thanks, Jeff. As our tradition is to announce the guests, and as your name's announced, please stand, and we'll recognize all of our guests at the end of the list. So we have Jeff Gerritsen, Susan Schmitz. Saw him coming, there he is. Denise DeBarb with Mark Clear, and I don't know if Mark came or not. I hope you're being nice to, oh, he is here, there he is. Good. Amanda Jabs, a guest of Greg Frank. Robin Novotny, a guest of Joan Collins. Sam Schneider, a guest of Melinda Heinrichs. Hans Waller, guest of our bagpipe player, Ellis today. George Beesman, a guest of Donna. And as the Senior Services Committee, Jeff Ham, Vicki Hodell, and I don't know if Elaine and George were in traffic, I think, last I heard. They're coming. Jane Williams. And a very special guest, one that I don't know has ever been at Rotary, but Ed Futa. Ed, if you please stand. Ed is from the Easttown Club, but he represents Rotary International at the United Nations. Wow. So welcome all of our guests.
Great, thanks, Jeff. All right, we have a few announcements today, so we'll start with Andrea Kaminski, who chairs our classification committee, and she has a report for us today.
Thank you, Vice President Paul, and congratulations, Peggy. I'm Andrea Kaminski, and as a past president, I have the pleasure of chairing the classification committee this year. Now, what the heck is the classification committee, you might ask, especially if you haven't been a member of Rotary for very long. It's the committee that is responsible for reviewing all the membership proposals that come in every month. And we do meet monthly to review the new nominations and to confirm that the individuals meet the membership criteria for our club, and finally to recommend a classification for each proposed member. And the reason we assign classifications is to ensure that our membership represents the broad scope of leadership in the many different sectors of our community. Our club can have up to 10% of its members in each of the broad classifications, and you can find a listing of those broad classifications and many, many subclasses in the back of your membership roster. The committee's recommendations then go to the monthly board meeting for approval. And then a list of the approved nominations is provided to the membership. And that takes place in the Friday email that you get following the board meeting. Our club's success results from fostering and maintaining a membership of business and civic leaders that represents the demographics of our community. And this helps us to attract still more leaders. And it helps ensure the quality of programs that we've all come to enjoy and expect. It's the many connections that we make in Rotary with leaders from other sectors that helps our club make a difference in this community and really make things happen. So I'm here today to remind you that every one of us has a role in keeping our club strong by nominating new members. We all need to be watching for leaders who might want to connect, grow, and serve through Rotary, and then to invite them to lunch and nominate them for membership. So here are some quick and easy steps for proposing a new member. First, identify someone you know from work or your social circle who is an owner, partner, key executive, faculty member, or other leader in our community's businesses and institutions. Ask yourself, is this person community service minded? If so, share a link to our club's website. Let them know there are 3 very nice videos on the homepage that will give them information, as well as a whole membership information page that is specifically designed for potential members. But even more important than that is invite them to lunch. Our club will provide 1 complimentary lunch if you mention upon registration that your guest is a potential new member. Attending a meeting is really a great way for your guest to find out what Rotary is all about and think about whether it's a good fit for them. And then if they're interested in joining, then you, not the potential member, you should complete the new improved online membership proposal form, which is it's in the downloadable forms part of the website. And I can tell you it's going to be a lot easier to fill out than the old one. So this Friday's email will include links to that form, as well as to a new concise guide for the steps, the process for bringing in new members. And just keep that information in mind when you do want to nominate somebody. So if you have any questions, please let me know or contact the Rotary office, and I'm sure they will help. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Next, Jason Ilstrup is going to come forward and talk about our club's 4 priorities of giving categories. Jason?
Hello, everyone. Jason Ilstrup here with Downtown Madison, Inc. Paul, that was quite impressive. On memory, naming all 19 Food Fight restaurants. They're a staple downtown, and I could name the ones downtown, but I couldn't get all 19. So well done. And to Peggy, a huge congratulations on your award. I work probably a 60, 70-hour-a-week job, and you do more of that volunteering each week, giving back to the community. It's an honor to be here in this room with you, and thank you for all your help from a husband of a proud West Regent. So thank you for all you're doing. Go Regents. Sorry that I just made all the Lancers and Pergolders and Spartans very mad, but such is life. Anyway, here we are. We're talking about Community Grants Campaign today. This is an important program that benefits the Madison Rotary Foundation. I want to introduce myself because, as you can see in very large lettering there, I am the new Community Grants Campaign Chair. So you're going to get very tired of hearing from me at the end of the year because we need to do better. But now, let's get to the basics of what is actually happening with giving. Giving is a huge part of our organization, and it's an expectation of our organization, and one expectation that is set from our leadership and then told to all of you when you join as members, so you have no excuse. But we will remind you over and over and over again. So we've got a chart of the 4 priority areas of giving. I like that. I just wave my hand and the chart goes. It's much easier than a clicker. You are the best. All right, so we've got the top there, which is a community grants campaign. That is what I am the chair of. That is a huge priority for our organization. And that is a once-a-year gift that happens in the time period of October 1st through January 1st. Average gift is $342. We need to do better. Because as a nonprofit leader, trust me, I'm staring right at Renee. There is a lot of need in the community right now, and the community grants make that happen. As you can see, the club projects include the Youth Awards, the Ethics Symposium, the international grants. This is a huge part of our yearly giving. So you're going to hear from me a lot come October through January. Maybe I'll give stuff away free, like $25 gift cards. That was good, Paul. You also gave me a call a couple weeks ago. I got to step up my game. Second priority is the Rotary International Foundation, which is a once-a-year campaign that is in the month of May. We ask $100 for a year from our members. This is a very important campaign that helps with much of our work internationally, including our global projects in Ghana to keep girls in school, the project in Chile that is receiving matching funds from Rotary International. What's important about this is we don't get the matching funds for our work internationally unless we hit a certain criteria of the number of members that are giving. So this is highly important. And as a former and returned is the same thing. Returned Peace Corps volunteer is what I should say. This work is very important. I've actually been in the village in Ghana where this happens. So this is really quite important giving for us today. The third on the list is the birthday gift, right? So when we celebrate a birthday, we ask that you give a gift to the Madison Rotary Foundation. This program is an easy way to give, and it was a creation of Melanie Ramey, who is not here today, but bless her heart, she gives a much better presentation than I do, as you all are starting to fall asleep now. You would never fall asleep with Melanie. But she had the idea of giving back, and she learned it at the large Rotary Conference. These funds on the birthday are deposited into our community grants endowment, and 100% of those contributions go towards our community grant programs. So please round up and give money. Next up, last chart is the dollars raised each year. The top line, this is a complicated chart. I like that. The top line shows the dollars raised each year. The top line is the most recent year of giving. So in 2020, 2021. So you can see we're headed the wrong direction. We need to change that, and I am going to change that in the birthday gifts and in the community giving. So you can see we need to do more. So please do give more. But where there's even more decline is the number of people that are giving for the birthday gift. So not only have we lost money, I guess this makes sense, I'm not a statistician, but less people are giving overall. And this has been a steady decline, as you can see, over the last 16 to 17 years. We were at almost, 76, 77% in 2004, 2005. Now we're at about 55%. So we can do better than that. All right. This chart is really quite important. So we need to look at this and say, let's turn that around and get that back up going again. The fourth priority, remember I mentioned 4 priorities. The last one is a synergy fund. That's when you round up your birthday contribution. That amount goes to the synergy fund and is a way to tell all members to donate to a 4-year college scholarship program for students in our community in need. Here's a chart that shows the round-up program. I like that we turn the charts to keep you guys guessing. But as you can see, again, it did tick back up for a couple of years. I admit that I joined in 16, 17, so I will take all credit for that rise. Rose in 17, 18, 18, 19, but then it's had a precipitous drop since then as well. So we need to do better. Now, this next and final slide, I promise, Paul, the final slide shows the percentage of giving. 2008 is on the left side and 2021 is on the right side. As you can see, it's been up and down, but over the last 3 years, we have been in a steady decline. That is my challenge, right? So this is important because we ask you to give a lot, and so we need to explain where all this money is going and what is happening. And as you can see, people are giving less. So we're going to change that this year. You're going to hear a lot from me because the work we give to the Madison Rotary Foundation is important now more than ever. COVID has changed a lot of people's lives, and we need to be giving both locally and internationally. And here are 4 ways to do that. So thank you very much. We will see you all fall when I'm asking for the cash out of your pocket. So bring it up. Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Jason. I want to remind you that we're seeking membership input. Every 3 years, our foundation surveys the membership to ask about your preferences for funding in the community. The office sent a reminder email on Monday, and we're seeking your input by next Monday. And your survey responses will really help to guide us in making choices of where we're going to make recommended gifts to the community through the grant from the foundation. So thank you for that. And we have birthdays to celebrate with a bit of humor and wisdom that complements Rotary's mission. We also encourage members to make an age-appropriate gift to the Madison Rotary Foundation and round it up to 100 for our Club Synergy Scholarship Fund. So with that, I'll go pretty quick here since we've got on a time clock here. August 15th, Gary Walter. August 16th, Jess Cavazos. August 17th, Dan Gwynn. August 17th, Lou Harned. And Lou had an early birthday gift and was invited to participate in a dream flight that is offered to World War II veterans last Wednesday. Brian Baskin took some video, and Moses Alstek and George Hidalgo were also in attendance in the event. So we've got some great photos capturing that event that you're seeing on the PowerPoint. Lou's quote about the flight: "I was not white-knuckled, I was relaxed, everything went fine, but I was glad to get down." August 18th, Pete Christensen. August 18th, Nelson Cummins. August 18th, Ernie Hansen. August 18th, Genia Stevens. August 19th, Reed Hall. So thanks to all our celebrants for their contributions to the Madison Rotary Foundation, and please join me in wishing them a happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rotarians. Happy birthday to you. All right, I mentioned Lou Harned's dream flight that took place last Wednesday, and Brian Baskin shared a brief video that we want to share that highlights the flight. So let's take a look. There we go. That's fantastic. All right, we do have a wedding announcement. Congratulations to Lynn Sexton and Scott Braun, who were married this past weekend. Scott is a member of the Madison South Rotary Club. So congratulations to Lynn and Scott. All right, so our speaker today is Conor Moran, and who's going to talk to us about the state of reading, writing, and publishing as we come through the pandemic. Conor is a graduate of the UW Law School and has been director of the Wisconsin Book Festival since 2013. As festival director, he supervises every aspect of the annual event, including selecting and scheduling authors, event logistics, media outreach, fundraising, and partnership development. We look forward to your presentation, Conor, and we've made a contribution to the Rotary International Polio Plus Fund as a way to say thanks for speaking with us today. I also want to mention that we'll have Q&A with our speaker at the end as time allows, but please wait for the microphone if you've got a question. So now let's welcome Conor Moran to the best podium in Madison. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Conor Moran. My first job in Madison was at Delmonico's. I also worked at the Hubbard Avenue Diner. My wife worked at El Dorado, and my daughter wants to work at Monty's Blue Plate Diner. So talk to you later, Greg. Thanks. That's all true, actually. My aunt had a contest in the family about who could get us a job first, and she knew Monty, so she got us jobs. Now I live here. I'm the director of the Wisconsin Book Festival. Thank you so much to Rotary. Hi, Jenny. For inviting me to speak today. This is my fourth time speaking at Rotary. It's always a delight. I also want to thank the events committee and in particular Maria Alvarez Stroud for the invitation and for the idea for today's speech. Often when I get up here, I just tell you about the great things that we have coming in the fall, which I will do to a limited extent, but as you can imagine, this year's a little bit strange, and I don't quite know everyone who's coming or what coming means yet. So I have some things, but we'll talk about that later. For those of you who don't know me, I run the Wisconsin Book Festival, and that is a program of Madison Public Library in partnership with the Madison Public Library Foundation. We bring, in a typical year, about 100 authors to Madison for about 40 standalone events throughout the year. That's typically like late January through May. I'm not going to ask anyone to come inside in Madison in the summer, so I take a little break. And then September through November. The majority of those events are held at Madison Central Library. And many of you know my boss, Jenny Jeffress, who's here today, and her counterpart, Greg Michaels, who's director of the library, who I don't see today. So, Jenny, everybody. I also look around this room and I see so many people who have supported the book festival over the 9 years that I've been director. We have sponsors like Marv Levy, who's here today. We have many supporters, many attendees, many people who've gotten free books from the book festival. So thank you all for your support, and I welcome all of you to come and be attendees and supporters of the festival this fall. So my actual conversation today is about the state of publishing, where books are in America, but I'm willing to take any questions that you have about either thing, the festival or publishing. We have been very fortunate, I would say, at the Wisconsin Book Festival and in publishing to have fit into the pandemic without losing a lot of what made the event special in the first place. It's much like watching Rotary at home. You don't get to sing with your friends, but you get to see great speakers and learn about great community service going on around Madison. So a Wisconsin Book Festival event for the last 18 months has been all virtual on a platform called Crowdcast. Speakers are there. You can ask a question. Often we give away free books as a way of promoting the author's work, but also connecting books and readers together, because that's really what makes my job work. Unlike a lot of past times, we didn't really have any downtime. We started doing book festival events in April. I remember very distinctly in March saying to Jenny, no one's going to watch our stuff. They're going to watch these authors on the Today Show. And she said, you should try it. And I did, and it was very, very successful. Book publishing was pretty successful last year. I'll get to those exact numbers. But before I do, I want to take a community poll. I know that Rotary is all about interaction and participation. So by show of hands, I would love to just ask, who in the room read a book last year? Cover to cover, login page to log out page. You can listen to one if you need to. Okay, I think that's most people. Congratulations to you. Only 65% of America read a book last year, even though they were at home, even though, you know, you can hand a book to your friend. Everyone has one somewhere that they're meaning to read, but only 65% of Americans, but 100% of this group read a book last year. 28% of those people that read a book read an ebook. 14% of us listen to our book as an audiobook. But the majority of Americans still read print books, which I think is a, you know, kind of a narrative that gets lost a lot of the time. I think people talk about ebooks and audiobooks, but people really are reading books on paper, at least still. All right, so show of hands again. Who in the room read 4 books last year? Okay, that's a really good number. That is the number of books the typical American reads in a year. That number has been steady for more than 10 years. 4 books. So once a quarter, somebody goes on vacation, they read a Tom Clancy novel, and that's how we get to that number. It's actually a James Patterson novel. It's not Tom Clancy anymore. James Patterson is responsible for 1 in every 4 hardcovers that exist in America. That's a real number. Yeah. Who has a James Patterson book at their house? Yeah. Oh, wow. See? Okay. That's a different number than publishing would have you believe. All right. And final interactive portion. Who read 12 books last year? Okay. You are all the average. 12 books is the average, which means so many people who are hitting the library for mysteries and romance novels, graphic novels, it's like really super short, they're driving that number up because I think we really saw that most people sit between about 4 and 12 books in a year. So congratulations to all of you. You're all above the national average, but we all have more reading to do. And maybe, Jason, you can work that into what you asked them to do in the fall. Thank you. So I do want to say publishing is in actually a strangely great place. Despite all the hardships in 2020, publishing as an industry saw its largest one-year increase in sales since 2010 last year. Book publishing reported more than $8.6 billion in sales. And when you think about the fact that many of those books are $16, many of those books are children's books, which are $5, $6, $7, that's a huge number of books. Just the books that went into circulation last year. In addition to that, people consumed more than 2.5 billion hours of audiobooks last year. So that's reading that exists outside of reading. And Goodreads, the largest online community of readers, reported a 40% increase in the number of books completed by their people. Goodreads has really taken over as the place for readers all over the world to connect, give each other recommendations, trade stories, talk about upcoming books, and you can also log your books, and people do it maniacally. They just, they set out a goal for the year. My goal since I was senior in college has been to read 52 books in a year. That's 1 a week. I did that last year, and I am here to tell you it is hard to do. It is like you have to choose it every time. Anytime you want to do something, you have to choose the reading. Publishing, it's an interesting business. 30%, I'm sorry, a lot of reports came out last year, right around December, that says book publishing was down 30% last year. Almost all of that number was in higher education textbooks, which, as you can all imagine, you understand the reason why. But what we saw was romance novels, mystery novels, adult nonfiction, particularly about race and contemporary politics, led the way to a 23% increase in the number of books that were purchased last year. So even though we had an overall number that went down, we had this huge growth in adult reading last year. So I feel very good about that. That means all of you have things you want to come to me and say, can you get this author? Because I read that book last year. And we haven't had many people. The other thing that I find really heartening is that throughout the pandemic, there was a boom in independent bookstores. Last year, the American Booksellers Association reported that indie bookstores saw a 7.5% increase in sales in 2020. This really cuts against a narrative that I see all the time and kind of throw a fit about in my dinner table, which is about the death of the indie bookstore. 12 years ago, at the kind of bottom, we lost about 3,000 independent bookstores went out of business because of Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Borders, and changing reading habits. We are now currently at more than 2,500 independent bookstores across the country. That's 900 bookstores in 10 years. So you can imagine what that impact is on communities like ours. We have seen a number of new bookstores open in the Madison area just in the last 18 months alone. We saw 50 bookstores across the country close during the pandemic, whether that was people who were thinking about retiring, saw that as a good opportunity to do so, rents that people were unable to make, or other pandemic-related reasons. But 65 new bookstores opened in that time. So a net gain in bookstores feels like a kind of a strange tale to tell about the pandemic, but yet here I am telling it to all of you. To go back to our community for a little bit, I hope that you all know that Madison's oldest bookstore, A Room One's Own, is moving. They are leaving their space on Gorham Street and will be opening on Atwood Avenue at the end of this month, probably like 9 or 10 days. Their new owners did that because they have the ability to buy their building, which will keep them here much longer than increasing rents tend to do. So I hope that you will check their website and support them as they reopen. I also hope that you will support Itty Bitty Books in Stoughton. Itty Bitty Books is truly that. It is 120 square feet. The bookstore owner, Dominique Johnson, opened the bookstore in 2020. The bookstore exists to diversify each and every one of our book collections with authors and characters from different marginalized groups. And every month, Itty Bitty Bookstore has a new curated collection. So if you go in once a month, you'll see completely different books in that space. And that's right in downtown Stoughton. If you live on the other side of south of town, Kismet Books in Verona is located in the historic Matt's House, right at the main intersection of Verona at 101 Main Street. And Kismet was opened in January of this year. It features a selection of quality new and used books for every kind of reader with a special focus on great reads for kids. The one thing I'll say about Kismet is when you go in, most of the books have their covers out rather than their spines out. It's really engaging. You get to see all sorts of things that you might maybe pick up off a table, but you get to see them spread out across the whole store. I really encourage you to take the drive out to Verona for that. And some of our Rotarians today have connections to Milwaukee, so I'll also mention Niche Books is a new bookstore in Milwaukee founded by Setonia Weston. Setonia decided to open a bookstore and responding to the closing of the Reader's Choice in 2017. The Reader's Choice was, for a very long time, Wisconsin's only black-owned bookstore. And Setonia founded Niche as a pop-up bike delivery bookstore. So she'd go to city parks, she'd go to places where they had food carts, and she'd pop open the back of this cargo bike, much like the Dream Bike that Madison Public Library has, and bringing books to places that don't have libraries. And she is currently working on building out her brick and mortar location and should open either late this month or in September. So if you're near Milwaukee, check out Niche Books. And then the final thing, the thing that I'm most obviously here to talk about is libraries. I have a really great question for the group. Which generation do you think uses libraries the most? Anybody? I don't have a gift card, so you can. Tom gave it away already. What's that? Seniors. Anybody else? Millennials. Millennials is right. 53% of millennials use public libraries routinely. 45% of Gen X, 43% of the baby boom generation, and 41% of the silent generation use libraries. It is one of the reasons that libraries are seen as the cultural institution with the most respect in terms of truth in our society. People believe that if they go to the library, they'll find out the facts. I think that's very true, and I hope all of you do as well. I think that's maybe one of the reasons that last year at Madison Public Library had more than 1.9 million checkouts of materials from our library during the pandemic. If you think about the size of the metro area, that's approximately those 4 books that the average American read, all coming from Madison Public Library. We also had, in addition to those, 600,000 checkouts of digital resources. That was really the thing that changed at Madison Public Library last year. We had growth of over 40% in requests for and checkouts of digital resources. And so one of the things the foundation did was make funds available for the library to really invest in their overdrive program and bring resources to people where they need them at their home. The other thing that Madison Public Library did that may not have gotten the attention that it should have is they eliminated fines last year. By removing fines for 35,000 Madisonians, they saw increased use of the library. There's no longer that barrier there. Almost 4,000 people whose library cards have been blocked because of fines or lost books now have access to the library again. And it led to an increase of 11,000 new people getting library cards last year. It's a huge number for the library. And I would just like to take a moment and give a little round of applause to the library for all of that. And now a little bit about me. The book festival also saw some kind of strange results from the pandemic. One of the things we saw was a huge increase in the amount of people who were able to access the book festival events. A typical book festival event, Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m., Madison Central Library. How many people is that a convenient time for? I mean, it's my job, so it's me. But it's me and Carol. Just want you to know, it's just me, and Jenny's not even actually there. She's going to dive meets and things like that. We saw this replay audience for our virtual events, which was between 25 and 50% of whatever the live audience was, watched it after the fact. Listened to it as a podcast while they walk the dog. Maybe you wait tables or work at a restaurant and you can't be there at 7 o'clock, but you can watch it when you get home. Maybe you make plans with somebody from out of town and you watch it at the same time and text each other during it. I know it sounds weird, but people do it. We saw just an incredible outpouring of people who started engaging with the book festival last year who never were able to before or never had been engaging with the book festival before. Our email list grew from 1,500 to 8,000 people who wanted that content because it's free, it's culturally relevant, and it's consistent throughout the year. And so I feel really, really honored by those people who chose the book festival as their form of kind of cultural engagement over last year. We had 49 standalone events last year. We had 9,500 people come to 49 events. If you picture that in the Central Library Community Room, which seats about 250, that's a lot of standing room. That's very, very, very close together, which is not something that we were able to do. That number was up a third from the 2019 standalone event numbers. During the 4-day festival, we were only able to offer 16 events because it was me at a computer, so I couldn't do multiple computers at a time. But those people, 1,800 people came and watched those 16 events, and that was about 100 people higher than any in-person 16 events at Madison Central Library in more than 5 years. So felt very good about the message getting out and people finding value in that. This year we had 29 events in the spring. Those events included people who would very unlikely have come here. People like Carl Hyacin or Salman Rushdie, Emily St. John Mandel. We had a really large event with Senator Elizabeth Warren, who only did 4 events. She did her hometown bookstore, she did Washington, D.C., she did Los Angeles, and she did us. And she saw 1,300 people came to that event, and we gave away free books to the people who asked for them. And those are just some of the things that Crowdcast was allowing us to do that maybe we wouldn't have been able to do in person. A story I tell all the time is, who saw Nomadland in this room? Did anybody see Nomadland? It won Best Picture. It's on Netflix, right? Jess Bruder was here in 2017. How many people came and saw Jess Bruder live at the library? 1. That's amazing. I'm so amazed. We had 60 people. And now, if we had had it virtually, we'd have the video of it. But because it was back then and we didn't think, I didn't think that way, I don't have it. I wanted the next day to be like, yeah, did you see her? Oh, I don't have anything. But last year when Charles Yu won the National Book Award, we had an event with him just the day before, and we were able to say, hey, if you want to learn more about this book that just won this huge award, here's our event with him last night. And connect people to Wisconsin, connect people to Madison, and connect people to the library. And then the final thing that I'll say is that, yes, this year does seem like it's turning out very strange. We will be back with book festival events in one way or another way, or maybe multiple ways, this fall. We are hosting our fall celebration from October 21st through the 24th. Current plan is to offer 2 nights of virtual events on Thursday and Friday, and then a day of in-person events on Saturday, October 23rd. I think many people, myself included, really, really want to get back to being able to interact with our friends and other readers and those authors. Many of those authors will be local authors who, are able to drive here or be here safely, understand what's going on here in Dane County. But we are going to begin on September 28th with some virtual events. The first one stars Sandra Cisneros, the author of The House on Mango Street, for her new novel. And we are giving away 150 free copies of that book. So if you want to tune in, see some of these high-level authors who are attending the festival, you can do so on September 28th. Get a free copy of the book. It can be one of your 4, 12, or 52 books that you read for the year. And then you can come visit us on October 21st through the 24th. I did 19 minutes, so I have 11 minutes for Q&A, or we can go home early. But I did want to just open up the floor to anyone who has a question and say thank you so much for letting me speak today.
I'm not going to give it to you. You can hold my
Okay.
hand, but not the microphone.
Madison is always competing with Austin to the most books sold per capita or read per capita. Where are we today?
I don't know the number from 2020. The last number that I know about that from 2018, and keeping in mind that Austin is about 4.5 to 6 times, depending our size, depending on how you phrase the metro area or city proper. We were about 3,000 actual books behind them. So per capita, many, many, many more. Units, 3,000 out of 250,000 people, or 3,000 out of 15 or 1.5 million people. So I think we're doing a good job. As an aside, but related, one of the reasons that the Wisconsin Book Festival is so successful with publishers is because people come, but also because people buy books. In publishing, if you have 10 people at an event and you sell 1 book, that ratio is pretty standard across no matter where you are. San Francisco, Miami, Peoria, Portland, Maine. Our ratio hovers around 1 to 4, 1 to 5. And so when I tell people how many people are going to come and how many books are going to get sold, and I can say, we're going to have 100 people and sell 25 books, which, may not sound like it's going to move the needle. They're looking at 100 people and 10 books anywhere else. And so all of you coming and supporting not only the local infrastructure by buying the book from Room One's Own, coming to the library and experiencing a free event, you are really making Madison much more of a literary city than you think you might be. So thank you for that.
Hi, thanks for being here. Thanks for the great
Thank
work
you.
that you're doing. 2 questions. One is maybe you could just take a moment to describe the relationship between Madison Library and some of the surrounding communities.
Okay.
And then second, with respect to the book fair and the virtual, it sounds like it was a tremendous success.
Yeah.
And maybe you can address, I know you did partially, but do you really expect or plan to sort of stay deeply committed to sort of a digital and virtual version of that in the future?
Sure. So I'm going to say what I'm going to say about the library and the surrounding communities. I'm perfectly willing for someone to tell me I'm wrong, because, again, I work for the foundation and not for the library, so I hear these things, but I don't quite know. So Madison Public Library has 9 branches around the city. I know them, and I'm not going to stand up here because, Paul's is better. Paul, do you know all 9 libraries? And do you know the 10th nascent library? Jenny will come talk to you about that next year. So we have 9 libraries here in Madison spread out across the city. And then we are part of the South Central Library System, which encompasses 9 different counties. So it allows you to get on to LinkCat and reserve your book online. And it might come to you from Monona or Sun Prairie or Fitchburg, but it also might come to you from like Adams County. So it really allows us to draw books to us, but also Madison Public Library, as the largest library in the region, our books travel quite a bit more. And that's one of the reasons that we need resources, is we're not just supporting learning and facts for Madisonians, we're supporting it for so many counties and so many communities who don't have the resources to buy those books or digital resources. So that's what I'll say. If there's more, we can talk about it later. And then the second question was about our continued digitization of the book festival. Yes, the answer is yes. We will continue to offer a digital option for engagement, I guess is the best way to put it. I sit on the National Association of Book Festival Directors. I'm the secretary for that organization, and we talk all the time about what we're going to do, how we're going to offer, what we're going to offer. Are we going to do all in person and say you have to come and see us to get this content? Or are we going to do, maybe we'll show the reading but not the Q&A. So the Q&A is special, you have to be in the room, or we'll just show the Q&A. If you want the reading, you have to be in the room. Maybe we'll just show the whole thing, but we'll do it 5 days later, so there's an impetus. The last thing I want is to lose attendance in that room and that feeling if you're like, oh, I can watch it in my pajamas. I mean, you can probably come to the library and watch in your pajamas, but I don't recommend it. So we will definitely have that. The 25 to 50% of people who now engage with the festival who couldn't or didn't before really matters to us, and has really kind of driven home the need to expand the accessibility to it and to give ourselves that record, for sure. So there will definitely be a digital version of the festival this year and in the future.
Conor, over here, sorry.
Hey.
It's hard to tell with the
No,
disembodied
you're right.
microphone, but
It's because Jason's also at the level of the sitting people. Yeah,
he's very stealthy that
he is
way.
stealthy.
I was going to ask for clarification on the library's pajama policy, but
Yeah.
I know you don't actually work
I
in
don't
the
know.
library,
Yeah,
so
I'm saying
I'll ask
probably,
Greg
yeah.
that question. But I am curious about your thoughts on the, particularly the nonfiction segment of the industry.
Yeah.
When you look at the bestseller list, it reflects the polarization of America, let's say. Do you think that is that a phenomenon of just the bestsellers and the broader industry is much less polarized, or is the whole industry going in that direction?
In the direction of polarization?
Polarization, yeah.
I guess the thing I would say is that publishing publishes what gets sold. And they do all sorts of things to make sure that these things get sold, and don't do things, and some things don't get sold. But there is an increased interest in highly partisan books. If you look at the top 25 books that were sold last year, there's one literary novel on that list. There's one YA novel on that list. And there are, I would say, something to the effect of like 3 or 4 like mysteries or genre fiction on that list. Everything else is nonfiction, and the vast majority of that is political or I would say like issue-based nonfiction. Madison is a nonfiction town. I learned that, I learned that very quickly in this job. I read debut novels. Or contemporary fiction is my thing. And so I'd bring someone in and I'd get an audience and I'd be like, really? Okay, 70 people for someone who's nominated for the National Book Award. And I'd bring in somebody else and I'd be like, I'm sorry, we have 300 people here for this book about an Iowa newspaper? That's also real. And it just made me start thinking about the way I do my job differently. I think that we experience the partisanship pretty obviously. I ask all the time for people from a wide variety of viewpoints, and you can go to my website, and I will not shy away from it. Similar viewpoints come much more than certain viewpoints. And that's a function of, what Dane County means to the rest of the country or to publishers. But, I think that it's a net good that there's a broad swath of, writing out there. I think it's up to each of us to go find it and evaluate it for ourselves. I think the library is a really great place to go get those books and to find out what the facts are. And we will continue to do that work. But yeah, I think publishing is like many things in America, and probably it's going to remain partisan or at least showcase that. Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. I have to.
One more
Sorry,
quick one.
Paul. He's telling me one
Yeah,
more.
I just wanted to shout out too. I have a 3- and 5-year-old, so we use the CSA style box.
Yeah,
I just
that is
felt
great.
Access for kids was so, it was still so wonderful during the pandemic, and so you could just say, I want 10 books for this age group, and
Yeah.
then they'd have them that afternoon. So
Yeah.
thank you, all for the work on that. It was really great.
Well, thank you. Thank you for using it. Yeah. And thank you all again for letting me come.
All right, that was excellent. Thank you, Conor. Thanks for speaking with us today, and thanks for everyone who attended today. I really appreciate it. Good to see everybody here. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.